And during our discussion, they all were asking so many questions. So nowadays it's very difficult to take care of the children. They are so brilliant. There are many, comments they were making it. I tried my best to give some of the, suggestions and the tips. But later I thought that I must make it as a very formal session by inviting the renowned experts in this field. Let me briefly explain that for the information of the others over here. We have with us Sri Ratnasamy. He's a chief mentor, MiDNA Global. I have to, when you say that, probably some of you might have Googled it. But again, let me mention that he is a coach, a mentor, philosopher, guide for the MiDNA Global family. And I am connected to this. You will come to know that the value of that the family over here. And it's all the network of people who are connected together for bringing some social transformation. In this, I must tell you, the parenting is one of the very important component where Ratnasamy sir always takes a pride in presenting to the people, and hundreds and thousands of people have been benefited out of this. So here, not only my ex-students, there are many other people also there, family members, and it is being shared widely in different places. So for all their benefits, I want you to know more about what this MiDNA Global is, how they are transforming their life. You will come across that in detail. So welcome, Ratnasamy sir, and for the invitation that you have come over here and gracing this occasion. I'm going to share your thoughts. And similarly, we have another MiDNA Global family member who is the life coach, IBM Academy, Bengaluru, who has got a vast, experience in the corporate training. And in the MiDNA Global family, she has gone one step ahead in giving the very, very accurate way of suggesting the people that this is what the nature has created you and your kids. This is our responsibility to go for training them, nurturing the children. This is something you will also come across from our talk that, this is going to be definitely a great addition to you. So welcome, Srimati Jayashree Ganeshan. And for the information of others, other than my students, ex-students, that for the information, I must tell you that I had a very long innings as a teacher and a principal in Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya, a residential school. And I like to be identified as the fortunate member in that Navodaya family. We also transformed the life of many rural children, and they are all placed across the world in a different position. We are proud of their achievements. And later I became the Deputy Director in National Institute of Open Schooling and started the new region at Chennai. And then I am continuing to do my service in the field of education through different projects. So one of that, my the new initiative or my work is being the part of this MiDNA Global family under the guidance of Sri Ratnasamy sir. We are transforming the life of many students by decoding their nature and guiding them what they are supposed to do in their life. So with this a small background of why this session has come and about the speakers, I'll quickly just give a brief outline of this, what this present day generation is and what are the basic challenges are there. And then I'll pass on the session to the Ratnasamy sir and also to Jayashree ma'am. So I think you all are aware of this, like our mobile phone version keep changing. You have seen from 1901 until we have come to the 2013 on Alpha Gen. Where the versions are keep changing it, but we are not able to rather connect with the changing environment, especially in the family setup. When I say the family setup, I think Jayashree Madam will speak more on that elaborately, but I'm just giving you a brief outline of that. Now, the Gen Alpha is the the generation which we are now facing the problem. And briefly, I'll just give you the overview of that, how to overcome that. I don't want to get into more details. These are all available in the net. But to just give a connection of how the flow has to go, I'm just showing all these things. Now, I will present especially to my Navodaya ex-students. Most of you are all handling this now, Gen Alpha kids. So they are born in the ocean of technology. So there is no other go. They are tech savvy. We have to accept that as a reality. Then they are exposed to the multicultural. They are environmental conscious, creative. Yes, every child is creative. And you will, when we address your question, that we will try to, correlate all that. They are more of collaborative. They are flexible, and they are more depending on the technology. Even if you say something, they immediately verify what you said is correct or not. So earlier, we were just giving them our words are the golden words or the final Gita. The verses from Bhagavad Gita, you accept it. But now they will verify and they get convinced. That's the age now we are facing. Information overloaded. I think we are just confused what to do that and reduce. There is a reduced face-to-face interaction is a major challenge which we are facing now. We will address those things also. And increased competition. So even though there is a ocean of opportunity, but the competition is very high, that skill or the talent is going to now decide. And ultimately, it also leads to that pressure to excel, that many psychological problems are all coming that now other members will be adding to that now. So accepting the Gen Alpha, where we should know, embrace the technology, listen to their perspectives. They are, whatever they see, even can be a small kid, their perceptions are much different than what our generation was. So this is the reality. We have to accept it. You have to foster the creativity. There is no other go. The world is now heading for the new ideas. Creativity is going to be the order of the day. And these present day children are with that only thing, we do not have a patience to listen to them. Encourage physical activities, which is again a caution. They are more addicted towards that in a sedentary position, which we'll have to somehow consciously see that they are all getting involved in physical activities, which we'll again discuss that in detail. Recognize the diversity. Yes, it is we are nowadays, the children are with a lot of diversity, which our Ratnasamy sir will tell you how this new version of the kids are all coming out with a number of different challenges, which is actually contributing to this variety. And the discipline, when you want to bring, this is a major concern that I know many parents will ask or how to that. This is something which is going to be a biggest learning now in this session. I'll briefly tell that positive reinforcement, you will come across that in detail, and clear boundaries and expectations. Let it be that, though we criticize the children that they are of, not able to control many complaints, we will say, but if you are able to tell them the boundaries and the expectations from your side, they do understand, trust them, they will follow you. Then respectful communications, your language. I think some of you might have undergone some NLP training and all that. The language plays a very, very important role, irrespective of whether it's a small child or a bigger person. That respectful communication is for the new generation kids. Collaborative problem solving, technology and screen time. Again, the major problem which we are facing, that you cannot live without technology, but at the same time, how are you going to monitor that the screen time part? And there is another thing, restorative justice. That is now that's a time for healing. There are a number of damages. Even you don't need to do physical damage, but there even a small video clip can just bring a such type of damage to their thought process. Now, as a parent, that you should be able to heal them and allow them. Then consistency and communication. These are all certain things which you should follow it up so that you'll be able to bring a change. Then the verbal praise. Yes, when it is deserving, correctly, great job, we are done. Just don't simply unnecessarily what you call pamper them. You just see that their action is being applied, not the individual. That's what something the new parent has to. It's not that your child has done that, but the action done by that child is something which is very important that we have taken. That the tokens and rewards which you have been normally doing that, but let it be genuine one. Then we also see that some of the positive reinforcement across natural consequences. Some of the things which happens, the child should understand, if I am doing this, this is what going to happen. Let us make them understand that it's like a pros and cons, and they will come to know that that's the way that correcting the children now. Then modeling, definitely parents, when you are given the birth, and it is our responsibility to nurture the child, and being a right model, it is an important responsibility of the parent now. And again, that catch them when they are being good. So it's instead of always finding out the fault, you should be able to catch them whenever they do the things. So with this background, I'm just setting and trying to tell that some of the challenges and some of the possible the solutions very quickly I just mentioned, because I want to hand over to the other members. But before closing the screen here, I just want that it is your responsibility. The right parenting is the responsibility of every young parent or adult parent, but for which you need to decode what is your nature and what is the child's nature is. But normally, we just keep searching for that. How do I understand my child? What are the behavior? It's going to give me some suggestions to talk about my son or daughter. These are all certain things. But I'll tell you, this genetic brain profiling technique, I am now I fall in love with this tool, and it's become so handy for me to guide the people, because it is giving me a lot of information about the child and also the parent. It has transformed the life of many, the families. So with this, I request Ratnasamy sir to take it forward, that help these young parents to nurture their children and transform them into their life.
Yeah, Jayashree will continue.
Over to Jayashree, madam, please.
Wow, that was overwhelming, and that was quite I think all the parents really got knocked out with so much information and so many alerts. But I would love to see, I'm just kind of quickly zooming to see how many of you have switched on your videos so we can actually even see your expressions. It would be wonderful if parents can actually do this and completely be involved in this. It will make a big difference to see, if it is just knowledge flowing, or are you typically behaving like. Let's see how. I'm going to ask you the next question. I'm Jayashree Ganeshan, founder, IBM Academy. And here's a brief intro about me. I have worked across the country. I've been recognized as the cultural ambassador of the country in Japan. I've put in 34 years of experience, trained close to 84,000 educators. And presently, I work from a student to a CEO. I have clients from the age group of 17 to 70. So you can obviously see there is a passion for people, passion to build relationships, and passion to see everybody glow. And I think that is exactly what brought us here, right? So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to quickly ask you a question. Welcome, millennial parents, and you have to check if you are born between the years 1981 and 96. Are you 27 to 42-year-olds? You can use the chat box also, to say yes, yes, yes. You can even mention your age there. So I know that you're actively participating. It has to be a many way interaction today, because towards the end, we are also going to be answering some of your questions. Are you parents for Generation Z, that is 11 to 26-year-olds? Or maybe parents for Gen Alpha, who were born from 2010 to 2025. 25 yet to be born. So aspiring parents I'm talking to. You never know, because that's how the present generation is. They would be curious to understand what parenting is all about. I can see lovely responses, and I'm going to ask Dr. Ravi to keep assisting me once in a while by reading out the expressions that are coming up in the chat. So are they all 27 to 42-year-olds from the responses that they've got, Ravi?
Yes, madam.
Okay.
Some other
So,
40, 41 and all. Yes.
super. So before we zoom into ourselves and then our children, we are nurturing, let's understand the macrocosm, the world, right? Ravi did play a video, and that was quite an introspective one. How the world around us is evolving is something we need to see. How our workspaces are evolving, how our businesses are evolving, and then see how this changes the way we behave. So everything is interdependent. So here is a very quick ready reckoner I'm going to use and take you through this to understand the world and the evolution that's happening around the world. So here are three revolutions that I have mentioned. Industrial revolution. I'm sure you must be remembering one of your history books, and I'm sure many of you don't even remember most of the components of that. It must have been a painful experience for a few, interesting experience for a few others. But we do remember Industrial Revolution. It was all about survival skills. It was about bringing the food to the plate. So it also involved a lot of child labor. So it was the basic needs that people were really working for. And then we moved gradually to the information revolution, the IT world, where the standard of living gained a lot of priority. Knowledge is power is what we started realizing, and knowledge was made freely available too. It also became the EMI column, right? So it became everybody going in for those loans and, better lifestyle. But today, look deep into yourself and just recall some of the questions that you're hearing around. I'm sure if you have a teenager kid somewhere around 11 to 26, or you have somebody who is 0 to 10, you can still hear the children saying, I'm not interested in doing what this, I want to do something I am more interested in doing. They seem to be exercising a choice. A few years back, and you must also be thinking, I wish I could exercise a choice too, but that didn't happen then, but it is what is the demand. So everybody, even you and I, are looking for a purpose in life. This is social revolution, where the focus is on the quality of life, and we are also focusing on the attitude of people. It's not enough if we have skills. It's very important to have the right attitude. Okay, so if that is the case, and that is how we are evolving, and if we are moving towards social revolution, then it is very important to grasp the generation gaps. If you're asked to talk about the characteristic traits of various generations, and I've just placed some pictures there, random, okay? What are the first words that come to your mind? Some characteristic traits. You can look at baby boomers, slightly older people, Generation X, I've already told you, beyond 40 towards 60. Gen Y is something which is much younger, somebody like you, 27 to 42. Gen Z is 11 to 26-year-olds. What are some of the characteristic traits that you can think of? I would like you to use the chat box and just write a few words. What comes to your mind when you look at the younger generation? Ravi actually leaked the paper a bit. He did show you some answers, but they were flowing so fast. I really wonder who caught it and who did not catch it. But you can either do a little bit of cheat from there, or you can just think normally and answer. What are a few words that come to your mind when you think of the generation? I can see Shalini has switched on the video. I would love to see the others switching on the video. It would be so much fun. See, I'm so appreciative of, the ones who've actually switched it on. Sorry about that. Yeah. So, what are the characteristic traits? Yes, Ravi, can you read out a few answers if they've come up in the chat box? What words come to your mind when you think
Yes.
about each of these generations?
Gen Z is a privileged lot. Says.
Wow, okay.
And technology savvy and dependent.
Yes.
And lots of creativity with the Gen Z.
See, they have done some cheating. I can see that. Though Ravi was like talking about challenges, and you also came here because you want some of the challenges addressed, I don't see that coming out. I can see it in the questions though. They are so autocratic, they're asking us so many questions, they are defying all the norms. Yeah, a lot of these thoughts, right? Yeah. Let us understand these generations a little bit, because we will move from awareness, we'll understand this people better, and then we will move on to solutions on how to nurture them. So Gen Z and millennials both belong to the young generation. They are characterized as you rightly have put it, tech savvy, and they daily use social media. They use sites like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. They are very passion oriented. That's why I told you it's a social revolution time now. They're development focused. They're driven to make a difference. Just look at the positive side to the whole thing. Motivated by entrepreneurship. You can hear the youngest of the youngest saying, I want to be an entrepreneur. And we also have terms now, right? Kidopreneurs. Students belonging to these generations may also be seen hanging out together at the university cafeteria due to their overlapping ages. Regarding their main distinction, these belonging to Gen Z are often defined as those who are between 1995 and 2012, while millennials are 1980 to 1994. So the parents are here and so are the children. The following discussions will also help you understand the difference. Who are the millennials? This word came from millennium, which means 1,000 years, and the term was coined by historians Neil Hovey and Williams in their book called Generations. It's a lovely book. You should really go through it if you get an opportunity to. The researchers have predicted that during adulthood of the majority of the millennials, family ties are actually going to improve. They will become stronger. Criminal behavior is actually going to get less, and those in their 20s will take less risks. Apparently, these predictions have all come true. The millennials are also known as Generation Y, or the me generation, due to the claim that they are both prone to be very self-centered. So the parents that we see now here in this room, if you're really looking for answers for children who are 0 to say 26 years of age, this is how you are. The following are some of the research-based characteristics. Internet dependent, you're upbeat and receptive. Atheists and agnostics will question religion. Mix business with pleasure. Believe that money cannot really buy happiness. Interested? Now let us talk a little bit about Gen Z. Generation Z or Gen Z is the next batch after Generation Y or the millennials. This makes other sources refer to them as post-millennials. Also, they are sometimes called I generation, Generation Tech, or Generation Wi-Fi due to their exposure to the internet since and before birth. According to several studies, the following are some of the characteristic traits of Gen Z. What are they? Pragmatic. They are risk takers. So you can now see what the parents are in for, right? The more and more you try to protect, the more and more they're going to defy and say, let me live my way. I want to take some risks. High value authenticity is what they are going to seek for. They are not going to fall prey to just dogmas and ideologies. They are going to question you. They are going to ask you for the authenticity. They will prefer, surprised, we think they don't, but they will prefer person-to-person contact. They want one-on-ones. And you'll be very surprised when I say I have clients from 17 to 70. I have many youngsters in the age group of 17 to 25 who are paying their own fee, and they prefer one-on-one connections and one-on-one sessions. And interestingly, they like to be involved with the community. This is a surprising factor. That's not what people think. Gen Z has since grown into an economical and cultural force. It is very hard to ignore them. The world's teens and young adults have been behind some of the biggest fashion trends, political movements, memes. You're always scared of the memes, right? Oh my God, the kind of humor, the kind of punch, the kind of pricks that they are able to give is such a supreme, fantastic quality. It wakes us up and shakes us up too. Even though the oldest millennials are in their early 40s, the generation has long been synonymous with young people. With Gen Z and Gen Alpha now gaining attention, it's finally starting to change more and more. But here is a little more information for you. What is clear is that babies that are born right now, they definitely belong to a new class. And do you know what the class is going to be called? It's going to be called Generation Glass. A nickname they've gotten thanks to how omnipresent technology has been in their formative years. Another huge factor is shaping these younger children. COVID-19 kids. Born at the start of pandemic in 2020, they will be turning 3 this year and will have no memories of life before quarantine. As they gain influence, you can expect to hear a lot more about generations. So it's nice to keep understanding that awareness is the key to everything. So today I've taken the role of building awareness, and you will see as we proceed how we are going to move towards solutions. Here are some plus points. While I give you the plus points, I want you to just focus on what's on the screen and try to make out what this language actually means. If you know the answers, you can keep putting it in the chat box. Okay, these are plus points for Generation Z. This means they will soon dominate the workforce, and there's some good news for employers because Generation Z is widely reported to be less self-centered. So which means the parents who are here are actually more self-centered and seeking independence than the children who are going to be less self-centered. And then their millennial counterparts. They are characterized by often trying to create their own solutions. So they are going to defy you and they are going to try and create your own solution rather than looking at others for help. According to a report entitled Rise of Generation Z and New Challenges for Retailers, they also tend to be very optimistic about the economy and the social progress and anticipate to be slightly happier than millennials. So millennials who still not switched on the cameras and have not given me a smile, this is an alert for you. I can see Roshna, I can see Vidya, I can now see people switching on cameras a little bit and giving me the smile because there should be a cusp here, right? You're moving, and that is what your children are going to be expecting much more from you. Anticipate being slightly happier than you, according to a survey by a very renowned company. This will be the first generation to consume more media online than off. So 85% of Generation Z will be multitasking with a second internet connected screen right beside them while they are watching TV, meaning they are very effective at double dipping their screen time, and they are but hardly enjoying the great outdoors. I can see that lovely smile from a lady who's wearing a red kurta here. Yeah, Gen Z also changes your vocabulary. So buck up millennials, you have to also start understanding what they're trying to say. So what I've put for you here is just 3 things. Did anybody make out what it means? IYKYK. If you know, it means. So they come up with a lot of content on the internet, but no context. They expect you to understand if you belong to their generation. Otherwise, they'll say you're out of the game anyway. So no context, only content, and they expect you to be bright enough and catch it. Low key, when they use the word low key, what they're trying to say is, hey, you're actually enjoying this program a lot, but you're not showing it up much. I think they're trying to take a dig at the millennials, right? Who enjoy it, but then they want to hold back and, weigh the pros and cons. They're so afraid to smile and let go and say, shabash, this program is so good. And that is what the new Z is going to expect of you. Finally, the emoji here. Who knows the meaning for this emoji? You can give me an answer in the chat box, or you can unmute and answer. Anybody who understands this emoji, it's a skull. Any idea what the skull actually means? I'm going to give you a few seconds. This is your first challenge from me today for you. What does this emoji mean? And remember, they are using the language of emojis. Did we get any answers, Ravi? In the chat box? Not yet. And I gave you quite some time.
Paranormal.
Paranormal, I like it. It simply says, I am dead. And you know what it actually means? It's a response to something very funny, outrageous, or shocking. What they're trying to say is, oh my God, I died laughing. Wow. Did you even expect that is what they're trying to say? So off we are, right? In understanding them, and we are here to nurture them. So it's so essential to understand their language, understand their interests, where they come from, make out their content without even they letting you know the context. So we are in for a lot of introspection and a lot of knowledge gathering. I'm so happy you're here. And Ravi actually took you through some knowledge, but I put a graphic organizer here for you. You can take a screenshot of this, which will help you understand and recap quickly the differences between the Generation Y, which are also millennial, and Generation Z. Year of birth, 1980 to 1904. The oldest here is 38 years. Here, it is oldest is 23. What is their attention span? Attention span on this side, they will wait longer and they will endure less entertaining situations. But here, shorter, because they are always exposed to speedier technology. Frugal, how do they spend? These people have experienced recession. They are more frugal, willing to get discount coupons also. You can actually see that. I have seen it. I have a child who is a Generation Y, and I have a child who is a Generation Z. So the Generation Y will look for discount coupons, follow product ads for buying. In fact, she also went into the ad technology. But here, this child will just get it, seeking instant gratification. Devices, desktop, smartphones, and TV sets. Here, smartphones, TV, laptops, and much more. By the time it is Generation Glass, you know what is going to happen. Ads, here they are more prone to ads. Here, they use ad block softwares. So all guys who are trying to do digital marketing, think about it. Social media sites. Their sharing and branding of pictures is what these people do, but live videos is what Generation Z do. Remember, I told you risk-taking? They don't care. And why don't we put live videos? Because we're very afraid to get called out, right? What if we make a mistake? We would rather edit the video and then send it. But by the way, today's program is live streamed. So we are getting there, the Generation Z. Working attitude. Independence is what millennials sought. But team player attitude is what Generation Z is asking for. They want one-on-one interaction. They want more teams. Surprised? Look for more. Multitasking, Generation Y is less prone. Generation Z, they are more prone due to exposure to various stimulus. Population, millennial is, Generation Y is a little less. 32% of the present population is Generation Z. Listen very carefully to relationship, my dear friends. This is where your answer is. The previous generation looked for quantity. They had many friends, many this one, many groups, etc. But Generation Z will look for quality-based friendship. They will question meaningless connections. So if they find relatives coming and making meaningless talk, they will cut off. They will not want people with less genuine conversations. They will call you out. They will say, why are you even indulging in this? Entrepreneurial adventure. I can see some smiles happening as some mothers are really thinking now. Adventures, they are very adventurous, want to start business because online business require less funds and startup culture has begun. So there will be many demands. In fact, recently I was going through a particular friend's profile and she said the child actually worked out because wanted to start on their own, his or her own entrepreneurial venture and sought freedom. Very distressing for the parent, but that's the way to be also. Higher education, these people seek prestigious institution, but sorry to say, dear Generation Y parents, your children are not going to be comfortable in traditional ways. They are going to question the traditional ways and they will seek meaningful online sessions which are self-regulated. So they will actually be going for self-regulated learning. So it's very important to grasp the generation gap. You have to accept, adapt, and then nurture. So here is some very, very happy info. If some of you thought that these millennials are lazy and they said that, oh, they rely on delivery apps instead of running to the store, they text or FaceTime instead of driving to a friend's house. In fact, they are more likely to use Uber instead of driving. Millennials are also most likely to outsource things like cooking, etc., laundry, web, and app-based businesses focused on providing these services. But the good news is, while they are doing this, check out what they use their spare time for. They are not going to just sit around. Instead, they are much more likely to use their free time on self-improvement and investing in themselves. Millennials are more likely than older generations to be enrolled in online classes or to use learning-focused apps. That is why the teachers are feeling the heat in the schools now. Because if they continue to teach the way they continue to teach, these kids are not going to listen. There is going to be more open schooling. There is going to be more demand for homeschooling, which means more responsibility for the parents. Millennials also strive to be the best. They like to be masters. And so whether it is artisanal knife making or learning a new language on Duolingo, they are going to go for it. Niche jobs, niche startups, specific online jobs is what they are really going to go for. So keeping this in mind, I will now move to Dr. Ratnaswamy, who will now tell you if this is the general scenario, this is how the world is moving, and this is how we are shaping up our youngsters, then how should we start giving personalized attention? Remember, I told you they are for one-to-one. If you have to give them personalized attention, it is very important to understand each one of them, their traits. Even if we have 2 kids in the house, it's very important to understand the subtle differences and what is it that they demand. There could have been a time where we brought the same kind of clothes or put them in the same school so that there's no competition later. But today, you might have to gauge their individual differences because a uniqueness is what they are going to move towards. So over to Dr. Ratnaswamy, who will now give you an experience of a tool which can help you give individual attention to your students to nurture them and your children too. Thank you, and over to you, Dr. Ratna.
Yeah, just 1 second.
I would like to say there are some amazing answers here, Dr. Ratna, which I wish Ravi had shared right then. Parents have written horrible, dangerous. Oh my God, this is so beautiful and too smart, more than us, loads of creativity. That is wonderful, right? So I'm sure you're becoming more and more aware, but now let's go for the uniqueness of the individual. Thank you, Dr. Ratna.
Right. Yeah. Good evening and welcome everyone to this program. We are just wondering how to squeeze into a very short duration because we all know we are all used to 2020 cricket match. We are not used to one-day matches and all. So slowly, though we are all previous generations and a mix of all kitchidis of generations together in the program, we also know that the way you spend your time and learning was never uniform throughout this human evolution. There were always, when some children can study for 18 hours, there were children who could not even study for 18 minutes in a day, also were there. So the big challenge that we are all facing is the assumed generalization of different configuration of brains put together. I wonder whoever has done this classification of generations, I'm sure it was not a very clear-cut demarcations. It wasn't there. It was just whatever the majority was showing a tendency. Those who understood the tendency probably concluded that this is what is this generation. See, it is like we decide, the manufacturer decides the generation is all right. But the user is also determining the generation. And that's the challenge that human beings are going through. The message I am trying to tell is all this classification of generations aren't as clear as it looks like on the PowerPoint. It's a composite thought process, complex thought process of different brains. And among the children also, it is not that all children belong to one generation. That's a very interesting thing you will come to know when you do a genetic brain profiling. Nature is giving you the configuration. Why should we spend our time in searching for configurations elsewhere? So, which I continue to believe, a ready-made manual is given to you in the form of a text that you can read and make use of. Why are you still groping in the dark in handling the children? That is why I coined a word for my communication called smart parenting. We all know that most of the gadgets that we use on a day-to-day basis, they are all smart. The children also are smart, but we are busy in making them dumb. We just want to strip them off from the smartness and we want to have control on them. This is a big damage that we are causing to the children, and because of which nature is giving you more difficult homework for you to learn. It's like with one slab you did not learn, now you are getting a bigger slab because at least they want you to know. So the nature is giving more and more difficult homework for the parents, and the parents are still refusing to learn what the nature is teaching them, what is the kind of guidance that comes from the nature. And that is where I believe this so-called genetic brain profiling gives you a clear-cut picture like a Google map. You travel through with a map. When should we see a Google map? Not after reaching the place. We have to see before our journey starts. So, my dear friends, when the whole world is technologically advancing, why are we refusing to adapt a technology that gives you a more reliable, authentic guidance in the name of the information that nature has given? It is not my invention or somebody else's invention. Nature has given a description of the child, but we are refusing to look into that. But we are doing all kinds of struggling and hard work and all kind of challenges we are going through. It's like having some ready-made product and you are still searching for something that you will cook and eat when something is ready-made available to you. And why we have to go for a ready-made food? Because the time that is available to us to nurture the children and the time that children are having to go through in their life to learn, to know about themselves is becoming shorter and shorter. All of you will agree, people used to say midlife crisis. It has come to quarter life crisis. Now you will know in the days to come, it will become childhood crisis because children are getting mature, puberty cycles, reproductive abilities are coming when they're 8 and 9 and 6. Means what? from a 16, 15, now the physiology is getting advanced. Physically, children are not very active, fitness focused. So all that is happening is in the psychological domain of the human being. So it is very important for parents to know how to handle my child. I think this one point is the additional point to what already Jayashree said, is you might have a twins, but believe me, their total brain configuration and architecture could be totally different. It will take 5 years, 10 years, 15 years to understand their physiological differences. But the psychological differences you will never be able to understand fully, because every day children will give you one lesson, and it's not, you have not come here with your lifetime to understand them. If you don't understand them, then how will you help them even as a parent? So the topic I wanted to put for this is parenting. All of you must have seen with an I between two inverted commas, or within brackets, which means parenting is no more the domain of mother, it is the domain of the father as well. Usually in the traditional parenting, the mothers will be taking care in the initial part of the life, and the fathers will come in the teenage and later part of the life to guide them, to mentor them, to help them in their confused situation. With generations longevity coming lesser and lesser, we don't have to do it, we have to do it parallelly. So some of the responsibilities what mother does, father has to take care, and something what father can do, the mother also has to do. So there is a parallel parenting, and I want to call it as a pair that does the parenting. And that's the reason in the flyer I had put it parenting. Now there is one more word, though I did not get the concurrence from Ravi and Jayashree. I thought I will use Zen-X. My Zen is not Gen, it is Chen. Because the current generation is coming with so much of heightened, escalated cosmic intelligence. That's very, very interesting. All of you should understand that. The cosmic intelligence is called Zen. That means I don't worry about the small things. I am looking at a very higher altitude. My plane of living is in a higher altitude. That is why I wanted to call it as Zen, Z-E-N, which is supposed to be higher, spiritually elevated, domain to discuss and think. And I also wanted to put that X. There is a reason behind it. And the reason is children are coming with that, what I call it as a genetic aberration that is happening. Okay, the aberration is they are not coming with a standardized, complete genetic material. They are coming with some shortages in the genetic material, and those who know about genetic brain profiling, they are very familiar with it. So nowadays, children are coming what we call as a small x and a big X, which means small deviation and big deviation. This is a genetic, what we call the genetic changes that are happening. You can call it as induced by the lifestyles. The lifestyles we are going through is actually damaging our genetic material. And as parents, when we produce children, we are producing children with some abnormality. See, abnormality, I am saying just for you to understand in a easier way, but they are outside the normal. Okay, I don't want to call abnormal, because in the days to come, you will find more and more children coming with the small x and the capital X, and they will become normal, and the parents will become abnormal. So this is a very relative terminology I'm just wanting to put. So my dear friends who are parenting their children, you need to understand their Zen also. Okay, I don't care. I don't worry about it. It's your problem. You produce the child. You go through. You call your relatives. You handle them. I don't worry about them, because they are looking at the global picture rather than the local picture. This is a natural evolution of the human being. Unfortunately, we have been conditioned by the industrialized education system that was created for the industrial revolution, and still we are using in the domain in the world that is too much advanced. It is like studying 4th standard syllabus after you go to the 12th standard. This is a kind of thought process our education system has conditioned our brain, because we can't study without a syllabus. We can't give an exam without a model testing. This is how our brains are conditioned. And currently, children are breaking those rules and definitely deviating to a new dimension. So, as parents, you have two choices. Either you leave 100% freedom to the child and let the child suffer if you think so, or do something on their own and they learn that what is life and how to handle it. Let them learn on their own. The other one is take a genetic brain profiling, understand, trust the nature's script, encrypted coding of the nature. Now you use that as your manual, parenting manual, and handle the child. Because believe me, every child does not need parenting as much as we think they need. Some children don't need parenting, like some children don't need teachers to learn. So they can handle themselves well. But unfortunately, we are conditioned. Up to 18, you should not do it. Up to 25, you should not do it. We have got some concretized mindset. I call it as fixed mindset, and we are not willing to take risk. But the current generation wants to live in the risky situation because they are more adventurous. They have come to this planet to see the life as an adventure, but some children are still not that adventuristic. So we need to find out what will work for my child. Please stop reading the books for parenting and listening to the videos and the TV experts and all. Without a manual, parenting is a guesswork. You will come to know your child by putting on a trial and error. But will you want to put your child for a learning purpose of you to learn your parenting? Many parents are fighting with children, teenagers especially, and then they give up out of frustration, not out of magnanimity. Okay, and they say, I don't ask my child, let him do whatever it is. It shows the frustration. We are not handling the child. We are not wanting to be a mentor for him. We either want to be a financier for him, owner of the child, or we want to just discard him on the road and say, hell with you, or not my child. I'm ashamed about telling that you are my child. And this is what is showing frustration. So without a tool, without a reliable, authentic tool, parenting is very dangerous, especially in the 21st and 22nd century. And instead of preparing the road for the children, we have to prepare children for the road that they will encounter, because we don't know. 20 years after this, from today, how the life will be is not something even in our guess, because it is so complex. The new brains are coming, more innovations will happen, more traumatic the life would be. So what? Let the child go through. You just be an excellent role model for you, saying that this is what I can do for you. The rest, you figure it out. If you want, I can help, but I can only help with my knowledge, my idea, my thought process, my experience only I can tell. I cannot think for you. I cannot take a decision for you. You have to go through. And if this kind of thought process comes with genetic brain profiling, this is the most safest and most responsible parenting that Ravi sir started saying, that parenting is a responsibility. You can't just make a child, produce a child for your entertainment and just say, I don't own you, you do whatever you want, I am not interested in. That's not really nice. So with this background, I just wanted to tell you that the conflict of parenting is coming because children are highly adaptable to begin with. Their adaptiveness, the ability to change their brain performances according to the need of the environment is coming down with age. Now you see the other graph. What is raising is the amount of effort that needed to change may bring some changes. Now, what is interesting for me is the downward is the child, the upward is the parent. Now you tell me, where do they meet? They meet at the age of 15, around 20, and that is where the conflict comes. You think the child is going to be what you want to be. Whatever your dreams are there, you will trust on the child. But all children will not carry your dream, and they will not sacrifice their dream. Please remember, in 21st century, no child wants to sacrifice their life to fulfill the dreams of the parents. Maybe with your financial, what you can say, arrogance, you can control them to some time. But the minute they throw your property on your face and they walk out of you, then you will go to ICU, and then the realization for you will come. Now you will say, I don't want anything, you take everything. And by the time, many of times, children will not come back as well. So because of these two graphs are individual, every father and mother, and you can see the other one is the child, is a complex in nature. And when one child itself is complex in nature, when you have more than one child, it is even more complex. So my dear friends, there, without a tool, without an authentic information about the child, forget about the child. What authentic information you have about yourself? I ask you 10 questions about yourself, you will drop blank. So, because when we don't know about ourselves, how do we handle somebody else whom we don't know anything? That's very dangerous. So, without genetic brain profiling, talking about children's behavior, classification of children, and telling that children are like this itself is very, very unfortunate. You can only talk about a child with a script, with a manual. Without the without the manual of a gadget, don't talk about the gadget, because you will be making your own personal, what you can say, judgmentals and conclusions and criticism, and that's not going to help the child. So with this background, the whole idea is to find what is the nature of the child and then nurture accordingly. See, you can't take a Dolo 650 for all fevers. It will reduce the fever by few degrees for some time. But if the underlying infection has nothing to do with Dolo, it will again flare up. Then you will have to go for antibiotics. So without diagnosis, without knowing what your child is made of, we cannot apply the same formula to every child that is applied in the classrooms. Unfortunately, the education system has not helped us because it was subject centric. Now it has become children centric, and it is never child centric. That is what Jayshree and Ravi sir were telling. Now more and more homeschooling will happen, open schooling will happen, no schooling will happen. I don't need schooling, only will also will happen. So parents need to be very optimistic and receptive and positive about these changes happening, because the world will never go back. It will never be reversed in its direction. It is going to go ahead. Now, what is your choice? Find out what is the world that is coming in. Be curious to know what it is and prepare yourself. Or travel with your children and say, I also will come with you, take it with you. But if you feel, let them go, I will not be there, probably that is going to be the biggest regret you will have in your lifetime, because that is not meant for life for you as well. So it is very important when we understand children are more intelligent than us, more capable than us, more powerful than us, then what is the problem in accepting them as your parents? So that the scenario is getting changed. Like you must have seen in our epics and all, the Lord Muruga learned something, taught something to father also. Like that, the world is coming again in another cycle, where we have to tell our children, please teach me how you did do it. Great, wonderful. I am very thankful to you. The gratitude, the appreciation has to come from the heart, from the internal process. But most of the time, our appreciation is happening about just to keep the child happy all the time, which is called pampering. So you have to understand the nature of the child and then do the nurturing. Unfortunately, the whole world is debating about whether it is nature or nurture. It is not or, it is and. Okay, so there need not be whether nature is powerful or nurturing is powerful. We need to find out every child how much nature is dominating and how much nurturing is there. If the nurturing is very small scope is there, we call adaptiveness in our tool, then the parents should forget about the child. That means you should say, Why are you asking me? You are capable of doing, go ahead and do it. If you want help, I'll get it from someone because I'm not good in this area. So surrender, your respect will come. Not by dominance, not by authoritativeness. You will never get respect. That's the generations that are currently coming in. And this is another small image that depicts the father trait, the mother trait, and there is some X. That means a child trait is also getting imported on the children. So children, the soil is given by the parents. The seed is not yours. You only can take pride of the body of the child, but the child's capability to perform in this life is not yours. You just be the vessel where you hold the child, and you are not what is there inside the vessel. This is very important. And in our experience of currently decoding children, we see children are becoming totally different from others. Maybe they will look like you, they will have some behaviors like you, but in the core of the child, they are totally different. So you need to be very careful about how to handle a child. It's no more child's play. It's a very, very difficult task. Even experts are struggling because the previous slide. I am an adult of 62 years old. I have a child of 30 years. 30 years, there's a difference of age gap is there. It's like I am iPhone 2 and my daughter is iPhone 11. How can you expect a compatibility? We might say we are all of the same company, same lineage we can claim, but definitely this brain and that brain has a very huge gap. It is not easy to fill it, so better learn from them if that requires. It is not always you will learn from the child. You can also import something on the child, but that cannot be assumed out of your conditioning of the brain because of your education system, because of your social norms, because of the environment in which you have been brought up as an adult. So it is very important to think of how to, understand the complexity of every child. And very important, though this particular crowd is not meant for this particular slide, but I am sure your children will become parents. Not everyone, but they will have some of will prefer to become parent. It is very important. Your child is a product of how you have lived your life. Your child is a product of how, as parents, you have lived your life. So you can say your child is a product of your two lives, how they were nurtured as a child, how their teenage, how do they plan for a child, how did they created or contributed towards a child coming to this planet. All of them are equally important. That is why currently from MiDNA we are also focusing on making conscious parenting. You create a child with consciously the way you want it. It is possible now. If you work on it, a 5-year project, you can produce a child as much as you want to have a child of your desire and your own. I don't know how much of that will be really applicable to life, but I'm saying the children are made by our lifestyles and what we have consumed, what our thoughts were, what our actions were, and the children are culmination of that. So it's very important to work not after the child becomes 5 years and 10 years. I am telling you, even before a thought of parenting comes into your mind, the preparation of the body, the mind, and the lifestyle must be, cautiously handled so that you produce a child that you can handle relatively easier. And it's a very complex process that you may not really pay attention much towards it. What I am telling is it's a complex. Every day, every moment, every day of the child, how does it unfold? By giving a traumatic childhood, you cannot expect your child to do excellently well in academics also. So every day, how you deal with your child is going to determine his quality of life, and thereby he becomes a parent, and that parenting is a joyful parenting. Unless otherwise you are not bringing up your children in a joyful way, you don't expect your child to go through a parenting that is joyful. Then you better say, don't become a parent because I could not give you a good parenting. Now it is up to you to try out. If you want, you can definitely go ahead. And believe me, that the next generation that is coming in, they are not interested in procreation. They are not interested in producing reproductive capabilities. They are not going to have much. They are all creative children. So they want to make something new, and they are not least interested in increasing the population of the globe. In fact, they will work in the other way. Everybody's child is my child. That thought process will come. They will adopt a child in Africa or in some other underdeveloped country, and they will think that I'm going through my parenting experience. The child is not mine, but the parenting experience is something I can definitely go through. So there is a lot of change of mindset is also happening. And this is one information that I thought I will share, is why parenting is very difficult, because children, they are growing more and more neural pathways when they are children. And we as a parent are reducing them, cutting them off by telling, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And one day the child says, okay, I'll not do anything, I'll give it up. So most of the children, we say every child is born genius. They are coming with 100 billion neurons. But in the name of parenting and education, we are all making them idiots. And I take responsibility of my statement as well, because we have some set of mindset that is there in the name of, for the betterment of the child, we are doing wrong things, we are doing unfair things. Probably a child who wants to go to a play school is waiting for a bus to come, but a child at the age of 10 and 12 is celebrating a holiday. What does it mean? We have killed the enthusiasm of the child to go to a school and learn. Learning is no more curiosity dependent. It's all frustration dependence or frustration giving. So children are not enjoying. That is the reason why open schoolings and homeschoolings and all kinds of different schoolings are coming, because the traditional education system is not helping all the children to deliver their competency, their capability, and they are no more interested in the arrogance and the controlling of the education system. They just want to breathe what they can and what they are naturally meant to. So there are 5 compartments, no technical session here. Just I wanted to say, out of this compartment, the brain configuration, the most important component of the brain is called the CEO of the brain, that's called frontal lobe. Okay, this is the CEO of the brain. If you don't understand the qualities of the CEO, how can you handle the child's life for their lifetime? So it is very important that parents should know the configuration of the child's brain, especially what the responsibility they have. Teachers also should know the children, but at least they are professionally only need to know. But you morally is your responsibility to know how is your thought process of the child. Know it early so that you can handle the child when the neuroplasticity, the adaptiveness is very high. Most of the parents come to us after coming to the 10th standard. Now, what my child should study for 11th and 12th? That means for you, life is only studying and getting some job. This is another detrimental thought process of the parents. Nowadays, children are not interested in employment. They're interested in doing so many things that will not even fetch money. They will spend the parents' money, but they want to explore something in this world. So, my dear parents, whether you are a 50,000 earning employee or you are even 50 crores earning employer, parents are still talking about what my child should take in 11th standard, what educational choices he should have, how to build a career for him. He is not interested in career only. He is not fit for education also. He wants to be something in totally out of what your contained, conditioned brain is thinking. But everybody's worry is, I ask them, how much your child you want to earn? Then now they have the question. Because they have money. For them, money is not a criteria. But because of their conditioned brain, they can't think anything out of going to a 9 to 5 job. The child is not interested in job. So that is why I say, please know your child and grow your child, because children want to glow, GLOW. So KNOW, GROW is your role. And if you do that rightly, GLOW will happen naturally to them because they meant to be on their own. They can be a glow, not because the way you want them to be. So understanding of the brain is very important. And what I say is the soul is the core of every child. But because they have taken a body, you have given some configuration contribution to the brain. And the CEO is divided into 4 segments, and that is called the posterior side of the frontal lobe and the anterior side of the frontal lobe. And there is a left side and the right side. This is little more technical. I will not go much into detail because there is a message I want to tell. This child's performance is going to be, the life in this planet is going to be dependent on these 4 quadrants or these 4 components of every child, which is unique for them. There are no 2 children who will have similar configuration. So it is very important for you to know how unique is my child and how different is my child from others. So in order to ensure that the child is going through a joyful living, not because not because the one component is there, the other component is not there. Child is not going to experience the life in a holistic way. My dear friends, in MiDNA, we are focusing about holistic parenting and holistic living. That is very, very important. Like we feed the child with only one type of food, the child will have certain disorders. What we say, all inclusive food has to be fed to the child. Similarly, every child should go through a whole brain parenting, what we call a holistic parenting, what we call, so that the children are not broken adults. Children are holistically joyful by nature, by their experiences, they should go through joyfully. In order to have a joyful living, we at MiDNA tend to guide the parents to focus on these 4 domains of life. One is wealth. Obviously, it is very important. But this all old generation, whatever you said, Gen X and Y and millennials, they got so much obsessed with the wealth. It has not given them the happiness. And also, too much of focus on the harmony also is not going to help. They are the lower level of human seeking pleasures. But unfortunately, many people, many parents are stuck with that. What the world will say is harmony. What I have, what I will, my child will have, what my grandchild will have, that's about wealth. Too much focus on the wealth and harmony has produced more challenges to the children. That is why children are not worried about what people are talking about me. They say it's all right, let them talk, I don't worry about it. We are getting shocked. If people are not talking good about you, then what is the purpose of living? So my thought process I want to share here to conclude is all the 4 components are. Without health, what is the use of the wealth? And if there is no harmony, what is the purpose of coexisting in a social situation or a social environment? And if there is no growth, if this growth is not your physical stature, it is about your intellectual, what I call it as a spiritual growth. We call self-growth. We have not come here to produce children and die. We have come here to evolve to the next level of human evolution. But we are, as parents, we are confused. Why we should worry about spiritual when the child is very small? It is there, the seed is there with every child. Whatever is their spiritual longingness is already encrypted. So as a parent, you should see, you should find out what my child has come with, what my child should acquire to live a balanced life, the progress. Both of them are important. Without balancing, progress is not going to give a holistic experience. And without progress, only balance is also not going to. So the vehicle, the life is a journey. You must know the direction. Once you know the direction, then you should accelerate and achieve the goals. So this is the whole basic concept of MiDNA Global. We help parents. They should know about themselves first. We also insist, first you do this assessment for you, and you feel that this assessment is revealing all that you have gone through in life. Now you apply it to your child. Now the reverse will apply. What you have gone through, the report is telling. What the report is telling, your child will go through. But the parenting, then only it becomes responsible. Okay, till the time you think it is something, it's your, what's a headache or some duty. Please remember, parenting is not a duty. A work that is done with out of joy is called responsibility. The work that is done out of pain and frustration is called duty. So it is not the duty of the parent, it's the responsibility of the parent. For that, we need to know the configuration of the child and then how to go through. Obviously, all children you cannot handle, you will need some guidance. But without genetic brain profiling, it will be very detrimental and probably doing more damage to the child. And you can handle your child if you are very comfortable, you can handle. Should you require more help, Jai Sris are available. You can take help of us. Let us travel together. My only promise that I'm making to my network is, as long as I exist in this planet, I'm willing to be with you. And whatever I can contribute, whatever I can do for you, I'll continue to do it. Because it is not one person can solve all problems. It is the collaborative effort of many and experts coming together. But ultimately, the tool remains very, very reliable. You cannot go wrong with the tool. Just learn it. Some tricks and tips you can probably figure it out, and then probably you can get the best configuration. So the concluding statement is, parenting should become a joyful parent. Many parents are just saying when my problems will be over. They think 2-year-old child, when they become 5-year, the problems will be over. The 5-year child will come over some other different. So every day you will come with challenges if you think life is a battle. But if you are with an awareness you handle, you will look forward for every day. And I believe if your parenting is not joyful, it is very unfair to produce a child and leave the child with a frustrated parents. That's not really good for neither the child nor for you. So with these few words, I would like to conclude this information session. I think Ravi sir, we can go into some questions.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Sir, thank you very much, sir. I think you are taken to a little more philosophical world, what life is. And I know many times you have mentioned to the people that unless you know your nature and your child nature, that would be difficult to proceed further. But for the knowledge of the audience over here, what sir was repeatedly mentioning about the genetic brain profiling is a very, very simple procedure. Just give a 10 fingerprint scan, and there is a software where they will, process it, and they'll create a 6-page or 8-page report, which will reveal completely about yourself and your child, whosoever is, irrespective of the age. And I must endorse, at the age of 60, I understood what is my nature is. And that is how I have taken a pledge that I must try to transform the life of the people, what the joy and I am undergoing now. It is transformed my life and my family. And I am, rather, the entire our MiDNA family are committed to bring this type of influence in the life of the people. And for more details, you can get into that website and go through that. And I think already some of our ex-students, they are volunteering that, sir, we want to learn and then want to take this scan and then process it and inform to the people. And we are with you, as rightly sir was telling. He has went in just one stage. As long as I exist in this earth, I am continuing to support. That's I know. I don't know. It's a very touching statement, but he means it. That is how it's going on. A few questions, sir. Quickly, we will take it up. I think Dr. Aarti has given that how to make children listen in one time. Maybe 1 or 2 children are there at home. One single instruction, whether all the children will be able to listen. And followed by that, she has also asked how to avoid distraction in teenagers and make them focus on career and studies. So,
Jai Sri, please.
So again, generalized questions will always receive generalized answers, but that's not what we are here for. So I'm glad that you're actually even asking this question. in order to avoid distraction in teenagers, it's very important to understand why they are getting distracted. And two is also understand how the child's brain works. For a quick info here, a teenager's brain is like when you prune a tree, right? When you prune a tree, it doesn't look very great. But after it starts blossoming, you will see, lovely tender leaves emerging. So when the pruning happens, the children are actually very adept. They love sounds, bright colors and loud sounds, and they will be risk-taking. They will not have an idea, or they'll not have a foresight or a forethought. They will not know what the repercussions of their actions will be. And that is how their natural tendency will be. So distractions are very normal. So it is very important to keep them engaged. But to keep them engaged, we need to find their interest, their pulse, and what it is. So I think genetic brain profiling could really help you gauge their interests and what their strengths are, so that you can nurture that. And coming to, so when we are focusing, remember this subtle difference I told you between Gen Y and Gen Z. While you will be very focused on studies and that's what you want, and you want your independence, these children will actually be seeking for group activities, more interactions, loftier ideals, etc. So it is suggested that you sit down and talk to them and get to know them, and we also need to understand exactly what is distracting them. Only then we can actually give a very specific answer. So seek for some specific guidance by reaching out to us in person. I think that will be a great takeaway for you. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, just to add on one small point, when the distraction is being discussed, it comes from two sources. One, you are so much not focusing on the work, and so because of that, the distraction comes. And there is one more reason why the distraction comes is saturation. You are done with it, but as a child is done with it, but the mother still thinks you should learn something. But the child is already saturated in the particular aspect. So the child wants to change the domain, change the task. But you still think tomorrow is an exam. How can you go and do something else? You have to do that. So if you can understand the child's brain, what we call the attention span time, now you should not pressurize the child, or you need to guide the child to a certain level of study time so that the child is able to do well. Ultimately, you have to jiggle, titrate, adjust some timings, and then find out what is the best configuration for a study time. It's a task of both child and mother, or child and parent together. You have to sit and do. It's not that what your time is our time, and without understanding that, you cannot generalize as well. Yeah, next question now.
Yeah, I think there's the question to Dr. Ratnaswamy sir. Dr. Preeti, we know she has asked how to engage active child, how to tackle with the children tantrum without losing temper. And Deepali also has asked similar questions. My child is hyperactive and does not listen at all. And I think you should be able to. This must be a common problem.
Let Jay say a few words, then that will be a good idea.
So usually when parents use the term hyperactive, I actually calm them down and said, first of all, don't use nomenclature, which you do not really understand. Okay. So we need to figure out, first of all, so when you actually do this test, you'll also understand that children have different learning styles and they have different intelligences. So if they are very kinesthetically strong, which is their body is very active and has tremendous energy, they would like to actually explore and experience things with their body. And generally, when they do that, they become fidgety, or they're moving around in a class, or they would keep taking toilet breaks in order to move out and come in. And teachers generally end up branding them as hyperactive. So it is very essential to understand if it is a deformity or is it one of their intelligences. So the very same child who is active with the body could even turn into a Sachin Tendulkar. The very same one, if you want to put him in a school which actually, restricts movements and wants them to sit in the same place and learn for a consecutive 4 to 5 hours, you will see a restlessness. So while this is one, I think it's again, it comes to identify the learning styles of your child, identify what his strengths are, and guide him accordingly. instead of just using nomenclature like slow learners or, hyperactive children. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. I think very rightly said. This, if the child is not listening, means that you are talking too much. You talk to the child, they say, my mother is talking too much. I can't listen to that. So there is obviously the brain internal configurations finally matters. And I very rightly agree with Jayashree. Hyperactive actually very loosely used. And you go to your doctor and say, my child is hyperactive, he will give you medicine. I think that's the biggest mistake many parents make, without understanding why the child is acting with more energy, bubbling with more energy. And they go to a doctor and say, doctor, I can't handle this child, do something. Then he will give a sedative tablet. For 1 month, he will give, 2 months, he will give. Now you'll say, I'm able to handle my child very well. Thank you very much. After 6 months or 1 year, the child would have become dumb. And now you'll go to a doctor and say, he is not doing anything now. So we really are confused. When the children are very active, parents are complaining. When the children are lazy, parents are complaining. Now, child cannot be adjusting themselves for your needs. When the parent is sleeping, the child should sleep. When the parent is awake, the child should be awake. These are all certain norms and conditionings that we have got in our head. We cannot generalize. Your child has come through you. It is not you. That's something you have to totally surrender to the statement that your job is to, like a paying guest. Treat your child like a paying guest. He will pay you a lot. But if you torture him, then also he will pay you a lot, but in a different way. So please ensure that you be a mentor for them. Okay, definitely you can.
One addition, doctor, the parent has also very beautifully asked, how do I handle them without getting stressed myself? Definitely, it is about setting right your expectations, matching your expectations with the child. And third is breathe. I think it's very important to get into certain breathing practices, which will help you assimilate all the knowledge. I know today, Dr. Ratna has confounded us with a lot of technical knowledge. So have I, so has Ravi. And we've also done some emotional contact with you. But to process all that, we need to breathe and we need to be in that space. So you guys congratulate yourself because you have spent a good close to 1.5 hours with us. And I see the number was 72 and we are still at 68. That is phenomenal. So you've been, this is a great way going forward. Over to you, Dr. Ratna. And the next question, Ravi.
I think almost all other questions are related to that. But one question which they were earlier also asking, sir, how do I come to know that which group has to be taken in class 11? Because this is how I have encountered many such type of parents. They got confused. Earlier, I used to ask of a dozen question. The child may not even tell. And I ask them that how good you are in maths. They say, yes, I'm good. But do you like maths? There is a confusion. And I have noticed also there is a difference between their interest and potential. But all these things I got cleared when I entered into the world of this genetic brain profiling. And I'm able to do a lot of justice, in my counseling with this genetic brain profiling report. It makes our job easier and more authentic. And that's how I am transforming the life of the children. I have seen some of the children coming to me in class 11 after failing in science stream. And when I take the genetic brain profiling and it shows that he's totally not suitable for taking science and he is more inclined towards humanities, he would have done wonders in that. And I scientifically explained them. I convinced the parent, please just shift to National Institute of Open Schooling, finish his 12th standard in humanities. And all these things happening at this stage, so because of this. So the message to the parents regarding this, you will observe them when they are growing from class 8 onwards, how much they are maths oriented and as non-maths oriented. These two you can broadly observe. But if you want to really know that exactly, we can do it. I have seen also some of the my friends, their children, they are paid huge amount for their medical, but they were not able to clear, and they have wasted their money and they wasted their life also. So this is all that.
Dr. Ravi, there is another question here, which is so specific and interesting.
Okay.
My child sometimes gets irritated when doing some activity which he is interested in. And when sometimes he is unable to do something, also he gets irritated. How can we get the abilities in sync with their interests?
Thank you.
Beautiful
Ratna Swami sir should answer.
question.
This is
I
what.
think I take a case before I give it to Dr. Ratna.
Yeah.
Very interesting. There is one particular part of the GBP which actually tells you interest and ability. The graph actually shows the child's interest and ability. It was very interesting. I'm going to sync it with my own learning. I was so interested in biology. I did pursue my master's, but did not go towards research. I steered towards humanities, which is education, and I became a better educator and a psychologist, etc. Little did I think of that when I was younger. When I saw my graph at the age of 52, 53, I realized, wow. So I was interested all the while, but I did not have that much of an ability. And I have moved towards something I have more ability for. That's fantastic. Good. Thank you, Saurav, for the question. Over to Doctor.
Yeah, just one more point, which I said it during my session, I want to say. Suppose you are driving a car. There is a signal. You are standing in the signal. Now you are asking your neighbor whether I should take a left turn or right turn. Now he is trying to figure out which place and all that. And he is telling at the end, you take a right turn. Okay, because he doesn't have time to tell you what is the wanted turn. Like this only, many children come to us. Now the school is asking me to take a group, what to do. And when you have to make, tomorrow I will have to tell. Now you tell me, now what and all you can do. You can just blindly take something and take a left or right and go. So the message Ravi sir was telling is the education and career choices is the third question of life. This is not the first question. The third question of life, only people are coming, which group to choose. There were two more important questions were there. If you have answered for that, you need not ask the third question. Because you did not answer, look for the answer for the two other questions. Now you are coming and asking the third question as what to study. And the two important questions are what curriculum I should choose and what kind of learning styles I should ensure to get the best marks. If you get the best mark, then I think the third choice will naturally happen to you. But if your marks are not there, it is also indicating you are confused what to do. I want to do that, but they are not giving. I don't want to do that, that only they are offering. And that's really a very unfortunate situation for any parent. And please believe me, the decision they make on the 11th and the 12th and the degree is the most productive part of the life of the child. And we are making most destructive decision also at that point of time. And then throughout the life, the child will curse the education system, the teachers, the parents, that I did not study this, I should have studied that, I missed my opportunity. So it is very crucial, but don't come for help at the crucial juncture, because I can't give you too many options. You can't think of too many options. You can't evaluate because there will be less time available. So earlier it was not available. We made wrong choices, all right. Now Google Map is there. Why are we roaming and wandering in the streets of that planet is the question that I ask. So let us be cautiously, proactively make that guidelines and the maps and figure out and help the children. Yeah. Anyone else has any question? Yeah.
Sir, just I wanted you to address on this also, sir. That quite often people keep asking me, sir, my child is not focusing in the classroom. He's not able to finish the homework. He doesn't show the interest in the studies. This is a very common complaint there, I think. I just want you to throw some light on this sensory learning and intuitive learning service.
Yes, sir. That's a bit technical.
I know.
Yeah.
But that will answer to the question.
See, yeah. We all know mind is the non-physical aspect of the body, and body is the physical aspect of the mind. So they are all intertwined. What the body does, the mind absorbs, and what the mind willing to do it, the body helps to do it. It's like husband and wife, together they hold their hands and do some activities, complementing each other. So some children cannot spend more time on classroom because classroom timings of 40 minutes are determined to accommodate children with 60 minutes attention span and children with 20 minutes attention span. We see genetically understanding the brain. Some children have low attention span, some children have a large attention span. But we can't have 20 minutes for one child and 60 minutes for other child. So the education system, for the sake of comfort in teaching sessions and scheduling the sessions, they have made it 40 minutes or 45 minutes. That is still not addressing to the children. In the classroom, changes cannot be brought in because you are treating as a group. The child, that is, the school cannot distinguish one child 20 minutes, other child 60 minutes. Practical problems are there. But as a mother, as a father, you have one child or two children. Now you can have a personalized communication process or learning. That is why many parents think I have paid 1 lakh per term fees, so why should I teach my child? It is the responsibility of the teacher. Unfortunately, they may be taking more money, but they can't deliver what you want. So you better be the half teacher. That is why people say teacher is the second mother and the parent is the second teacher for every child. We must keep this in mind and take the responsibility of figuring out how to connect and ensure that the children enjoy learning process. Most of the children are not enjoying the learning process because we have attached marks to it. Marks will come if you enjoy your learning. Even if you get just 60, your life will be much more pleasant because you have done it out of joy and not out of compulsion. So that's something we may have to individualize, and then only we can speak. It's not a good idea to put it. But one thing I have seen, many children are labeled as hyperactive, attention deficit, ADHD, go to a doctor, take medication, and the whole life of the children are ruined. I would plead and request all the parents, before seeing a psychologist for hyperactivity problem, please get your brain profiling done. Maybe you have given that hyperactivity to your child, and it is not the child's problem, it is the manufacturer defect that you have to handle yourself. You can't blame it on the child all the time. Yeah, that's also very.
I think it's time, sir. I have not seen any further questions in the chat box.
Yeah, if anyone has question, you can raise your hand. We will unmute, and maybe you can, instead of typing, you can do that. Just please raise your hand if you have a question. Then we will unmute, and then you can ask. Because in a crowd, where often accidentally it gets unmuted and it disturbs the whole flow. Yeah, that's the idea. Okay,
yeah.
so
that's all. Many thank you messages. Very interesting session. Very nice. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
This is just a beginning, and I must congratulate all of you. Like Jayshree said,
sir, Murthy TA has raised the hand, please.
Yeah, just 1 second.
Yes, Murthy.
One second, I'll just unmute.
Hello.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, please.
See, my baby is little hyper active side. So what happens most of the time, I'll try to manage, but sometimes what happens, I couldn't control myself. I feel like why he's like that. Can I go to some consultant psychologist? Lots of thoughts will come in my mind. Most of the time I'll have patience, but sometimes definitely I'll raise my hand or I'll raise my voice. Is it really good or bad? I'm not able to understand. Sometimes I feel raising my voice, raising my hands is not a good sign, but I'm not understanding how to deal with this.
Years back, I was told that if you raise your hand or if you raise your voice, consider that you lost the game. So, and that had such a fantastic impact on me. There are some great mentors who use the most appropriate word, which will prick you, and that's, so you're a loser if you lift your hand or if you try to hit or raise your voice. Having said that, these tendencies are very natural in you. So it all depends on what space you are in. Great that you've been brave enough to say it. I think with awareness begins the healing. So let's figure out why the child is doing what his expectations are, what your body energies are, and what is this that you're not able to match with him. Over to Dr.
Yeah.
students.
Yeah, I think
One more thing.
yeah.
I'll try to set a boundary. I'll say no, but if he start crying, no, I'll tend to give things whatever he
Wow.
asks.
Wow. So he already knows the game then. Well, that's a very interesting observation. So I should share with you, Priya, that with Dr. Ratna, we were discussing a very, very unique case, which came up to us. And because the parents have been, setting the boundary, but then have been breaking the boundary themselves out of fear and giving in. It's like a child who's throwing a tantrum for a chocolate. Today he throws a tantrum. There are three kinds of parents. One parent who will quickly look around to see who is looking at them and who is getting disturbed. The other parent, who gets all anxious from within. And then the third parent who knows that it's just a tantrum will stand back and wait for the child to finish the tantrum. Because it is very important for a child to even express his emotion, because they are also learning how to express. Your calmness and your determination will decide. Today it will be a chocolate when you give in. Tomorrow it will be something else. And the fifth day it will be way more that you will have to give in if you are not able to base your boundaries. So amazing. They have amazing lung power. They can scream as much as they want to. But you need to.
Just on the lighter side, though, I will tell the right answer later. If you raise your hand and voice, he or she also will do it soon. Number one. Number two, instead of if you think of taking to a psychologist, surely tomorrow he will take you to a psychologist. Okay, because there are issues. Yeah, because there are problems in both sides, and that is where this Dr. Ravi is coming into the picture. And you better meet Dr. Ravi before going to a psychologist, doctor, because things can be very easily understood. Okay, because there will be some homework for you also, and there is some homework for your child. And like Jayshree very rightly said, let the child complete its tantrum. No, why are you worried about it even before that? Children, yes, some children are trying to explore how they can handle the parents. Like you are going to a class to understand how to handle your children. Children are also learning from whatever sources there how to handle the parents. So it's both sides. They are busy with something, but I'm sure you please get the child's genetic brain profiling and yours. Your life will be Chingalala. I'll tell you, it will be totally different. You will really thank Dr. Ravi sir for your lifetime, because without the understanding of the child, whatever you try to do will give you a little more frustrations and more pains as well. Right. Yes.
Dr. Ratna, both Mr. Murthy and Priya and Saurav and wife, they are all from the BNI family. Okay. And I'm so happy that they are attending it together as parents. I think really made a difference. Right. Wonderful. Thank you for the question.
Thank you. Yeah,
thank you. I think there is one more question. No.
In this war with lots of love.
Thanks, message.
Right.
I think I request them to Google further details from the website and connect us. There are a lot of family members are there. They're ready to help you all. And
before we conclude, I just want to inform the parents. If you have problems in parenting, we are also there. That's number one. Number two, we are also not masters in everything. We can give you instant solutions. We will help you. We will equip you with some more information. Thereby, you are going to handle your child. I cannot come to your place and put a chim boom bar and your child becomes a good girl, good boy tomorrow. It's not happening. The child has come to you to teach something to you. Better you learn what is that homework the child is giving to me before I give my homework to the child. So better, it is very important is understanding. And we also conduct a small course for parents to understand what this report means. And with the knowledge of the report and the techniques that you can adopt, your parenting can be definitely more, I would say more joyful, because your worries will disappear. 50% of your worries will disappear. 50% of your anxiety will disappear. And when the minute the child see you that you are a different mother, the child will become more acceptable child. I'll tell you both. It's both ways working. The minute you are enjoying the situation, the child also will probably think now there is no one to fight. So their battle is over. Otherwise, you are trying to correct the child is trying to defend his or her position. It's always a battle. Parenting is not a battle, it's a celebration. Because only those without children will know how big a blessing is to be a parent. Why to worry about things that are not relevant, not important in life? Just enjoy the process. Whatever the child want to become, the child will become. That's already there. You just, tamasha dekh. Be a spectator and just be a responsible spectator. That's what I would say at the end. So thank you everyone
So
for attending this session. Yeah.
thank
Yes,
you
sir.
once again on behalf of everyone that thank our Ratnaswamy sir for sharing his profound knowledge and blessings also, I should say. And thanks Jayashree Ganesh ma'am to be a part of this. And I thank all my, ex-students and also the other participants from various circle. Spread this information. Again, we are all connected to transform the life of the people. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Namaste.
And
Thank
before I conclude, be in touch with this groups through which you have joined today. More and more such sessions will be conducted on regular basis. And please do come, spend some time, be part of transforming, helping children to live a better life, and very harmonious, very joyful life as well. So we also require your support and cooperation to take this concept and this idea of intelligent parenting or smart way of parenting the children also to more and more. So be part of the mission that says transforming lives globally with genetic brain profiling. So all the credit goes to that tool that the nature has given us. We are just the messengers of the tool. We are not the tool. We are not the creator of the tool. There is a message. We have learned how to read the message. And we are willing to teach you also how to read the message, because we need more of such interpreters and translators to take this nature's language into a human language. Thank you very much. See you in another learning session. Take care. Bye-bye. God bless.
Thank you.